Hey guys, it's Tori, and today I'm talking about classics that intimidate me. Some of these are like authors that intimidate me, and I'll show at least one of the books that I own by them, but there's just some classics that stress me out, and for a variety of reasons. A lot of them are big, so obviously just size is intimidating, but there's also just some other things that go into why these books are intimidating to me. So anyway, let's just get right into them. So the first one I want to talk about, I actually don't have with me, it's back at school, but that is Waverley by Sir Walter Scott. This is a historical fiction classic that follows the Jacobite Revolution in Scotland. I think it's Jacobite. It seems really good. That's a time period I'm very fascinated by. However, it was written, I believe, in either early 1800s or sometime in the 1700s. I've just heard it's very dense and kind of hard to get through, and so I'm just really intimidated by it. But I also really want to read it, not only because the premise sounds interesting to me, but also because I want to read more Scottish authors, and I want to read more from pre-Victorian time period, because I honestly haven't read that much from that point. This one I've just heard that it's so dense, and so it just kind of stresses me out, even though it's not like super long necessarily. It's just, yeah, very dense and can be difficult to get through because of the writing. So hopefully, I want to get to it this year, so hopefully I'll be able to overcome my intimidation and pick this up finally, because I really do want to. Next, I have an author that I'm very intimidated by, and that is Charles Dickens. This is the one I currently have that I haven't read yet that I want to pick up soon, our mutual friend, but really just all of his books. First of all, so many of them are so long. I also just feel like Charles Dickens is so well loved in the literary community as a whole, and then there are a lot of people who say he's very boring, including people in my family, and while I have read Oliver Twist and did really enjoy it, I just feel like that was just such a little like dab in the water. There's a lot of people who don't love that one as much. This one is pretty well loved by the majority of readers that I've heard talk about it, so I feel like I have higher expectations for this one. I don't know, there's just something about his writing style that is a little bit out of my comfort zone. Like, I've read two of his works. I've read A Christmas Carol and Oliver Twist, and I liked both of them, but there's just something about them that just still feels out of my comfort zone. And so every time I look at reading another one of his books, I really want to, but there's just something about them that feels very out of my comfort zone. Hopefully over time, as I read more, I'll get more comfortable with them, but right now I still don't honestly feel super comfortable with his writing style, and I really don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's just like some of the whimsical aspects of his writing style. I don't really know. There's just something that just feels like it's harder for me to get into. Next, I have another author that is just in general intimidating to me, and that is George Eliot. This is Daniel Deronda by her, which will probably be the first I read by her because it's the one I own. But I don't know, when I get new books, I like to read the first few sentences or paragraph just to kind of get a feel for the writing style, see how it starts, see if it's one I want to start really soon or not. And when I read the first few sentences of this, there was something about the writing style that just felt very dense to me, and maybe I'd get used to it pretty quickly. I don't know, but I just feel like just that little glimpse into her writing style, I was like, wow, she kind of writes in a very dense manner. And so it just has made me very intimidated by her, and I feel like I've seen other books by her in stores and have read the first couple sentences and have noticed the same thing, so I don't think it's just this book. Plus, this one's pretty long. So I don't know. I definitely am going to pick it up. It's just very, well, that's why it's in this video. It's very intimidating to me. Plus, I've just heard mixed things about her. Like, I've heard some people who really like her, some who don't, some who like some of her books but dislike others. It's a lot. That's a lot. So anyway, and I just dropped my book. It's fine. Next, I have The Woodlanders by Thomas Hardy. This is one, actually, to be honest, I could also put Jude the Obscure on here. Both of these are just very well loved by people who read Hardy. They're some of people's favorite Hardys ever, and that scares me because I love Tess so much, and a lot of people don't. Like, they like Tess, but it's so sad to them that it's not necessarily one of their favorites. I think there's like a sense of, I don't want something to beat out Tess, but I also do, and so I like have very mixed emotions, and so I'm kind of just scared to read these because I don't know how I'll feel about them, if that makes sense. I still am going to, because I'm going to read all of Hardy's works, but these two are kind of ones that are really intimidating to me right now, so that's such a silly reason to be intimidated by them, but I am. Next, I have Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I just feel like I know some people who love it because it's strange, and I feel like I appreciate knowing going into it that it's very strange, and so some people don't like it for the strangeness, but some people do. Some people really, really love the strangeness of this story, and so that makes me feel better, but I just don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. Like, I've had some hints as to how it's weird. I just feel like until I actually read it, I won't really understand fully what they mean. I'm just really scared that I'm gonna hate this book. But I also have a feeling that I might really enjoy it and find it funny in the way some of my friends do. It's kind of like Charles Dickens, where I'm like, I feel like I want to appreciate it, but what if I hate it? But if I hate it, that's not a horrible thing, but I also feel like I should at least be able to appreciate the symbolism in it. I don't know. It makes me feel like I have to be really smart to read it. I guess that's what I'm coming at, and I feel like if I don't appreciate the symbolism in it, then maybe, and the humor in it, then maybe I'm not smart enough. I don't know. It's so stupid, but yeah, this one definitely intimidates me a lot. Next, I have here Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I have read multiple things by Leo Tolstoy, and this is another one where not only is this large, and that's just intimidating in itself, but also there's something about Leo Tolstoy's writing, again, that I like everything I've read by him, but I haven't loved it. All of it. I've read both War and Peace, and I've read The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And War and Peace is huge. Death of Ivan Ilyich is more of a novella. Long or short, there's just something about his writing that just kind of makes me feel distanced from the story. And so it's always I always enjoy his stuff. I like War and Peace, and I really like Death of Ivan Ilyich, but I don't love them. I don't have these feelings of absolute obsession with them. I just am yeah, they're good. They're good stories. I enjoy them. I just want to love a Russian classic. I think that's what it is. There's just never been a Russian classic. I still haven't read that many, but I just haven't read one that I've really loved. They've all just been okay. I'm just afraid that because of the writing style, I won't love it as much as I hope I will. And so that just kind of scares me a little bit, to be quite honest. But that being said, I might end up reading this summer, even though I'm also reading Count of Monte Cristo. So I don't know, we'll see. But I'm thinking about it because one of my roommates is reading it this summer, and it's kind of fun to be able to discuss books with her, but we'll see. I am very intimidated by this, and I don't want to shove reading all my books that are intimidating to me into 1 year, if that makes sense. So anyway, I just have two more I want to mention. The first being Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. I'm intimidated by this because I got this when I was 11, and I read the first half of it, and did not understand anything about it, and I found it very boring. There was just a lot of sciencey terms, things I just did not understand, and so I didn't like it. And so I was like, well, maybe when I'm older, I'll be able to understand it better. And I think I will now. It's just still, the sciencey terms scare me. I don't even remember what they were, but I just am afraid that I'm gonna be confused and feel dumb reading this. I'm really intimidated by it, and I think that's why it's taken me so long to even get back to it, because I'm 22 now, almost 23. I got this when I was 11, so it's literally the oldest book on my TBR right now of what I own. Yeah, I need to freaking read it, but it's just so scary. It's so scary to me. If you remember, this wasn't even on my classics to read in 2020. That's how intimidated I am by this, is I didn't even put it on there, even though it's been on here on my TBR for so freaking long, and I really just need to get to it. I'm so scared of it. I just kind of had a bad experience to start off with, and even though I feel like I definitely understand it better now, I also feel like I have to be in the right mood for it, Just kind of that classic science fiction vibe I have to be in the right mood for, so. And the last one I'm going to mention is actually an author again, and that is Virginia Woolf. This is The Voyage Out by Virginia Woolf, which was one of her earlier novels, I believe. Maybe her first, actually. First novel she ever wrote. I'm just intimidated by Virginia Woolf because I know she writes in the stream of consciousness style, and I haven't really read anything like that, and I'm just afraid that I'm not going to enjoy it, but I really want to enjoy Virginia Woolf. So I'm still going to try it. This is another one that's on my TBR for this year, my classics TBR for this year. So I'm already planning on picking it up at some point. You never know until you try. Maybe I'll end up loving it. And if I end up hating it, at least then I know and I don't have to waste my time on books that I'm not going to enjoy. So, you know, in the end, it'll be okay. I also, just so you know, will not base my entire experience of Virginia Woolf on this because it is her first novel. So I think that's very unfair to her. I definitely want to at least read Mrs. Dalloway as well as this. If you have any recommendations for Virginia Woolf that you really like, definitely let me know in the comments because I do want to give her a fair shot, but this is the one I'll start with just because it's the one I own. Plus I think it's fun to start with an author's first novel because it allows you to see their progression in writing as you continue on in their books. So anyway, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below some of your classics that you're intimidated by, as I would love to know. Also be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already to this channel if you want to see more stuff from me. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you next week.